I'm Superantonio. And we're live. Greetings, friends. Happy Sunday. I hope you're ready for the week. We can go back to work, make some money for all the money you spent this weekend. You had money going out, and now you can have, hopefully, money going in. This weekend, this Sunday, I had just woken up and I dropped $40 on some picture frames. I've been doing a little decorating, but it's like I hadn't even gotten up, hadn't even gotten out of bed, ordered it off Amazon. What's that about? I hadn't even woken up the dog, and I was already $40 in the hole. But I've been decorating all weekend. I've been working on just making the environment more attractive and inspiring for me. And I'll make a video on it at some point to show my efforts because I'm really proud of it. But anyways, it's time for Batman Arkham Knight. We're on Stag airships, and I forgot to show you how we got onto it. One, there are airships in Gotham City, which I think is super cool. And two, this is like a huge maze to get through. There's a Riddler trophy in there. I don't know what you get if you collect them all. I think it's like cigarette cards. So yeah, we've got to we've got this remote access hacking device that kind of works. It was a little difficult to figure out how to, how to manipulate the toggles to get this thing to work, but we got it working. Anyways, Jay Lash with the thumbs ups. Thank you, Jay Lash. Appreciate you, friend. And Eagle says, hey to you, Eagle, and happy Sunday. So, here's something interesting about the channel. Is this game is very popular on the channel. It's more popular than The Last of Us. What's that about? So yeah, we're getting subscribers from these videos and from the Batman shorts that I do, where we get nothing from The Last of Us. And here's the problem. Here's the conundrum: is we're playing this on a PS5. And so it looks slightly prettier, I think, Batman Arkham Knight, but it's not taking advantage at all of the strength and the power and the magnificence of the PS5, which the Last of Us Remastered does indeed, And so I think we need, and I love The Last of Us. I don't want to stop playing it. I'm enjoying it. So I'm thinking what we need to do is alternate Batman Arkham Knight and The Last of Us on Saturdays. Free Roam Fridays will always be Arthur. That's always what we're going to do. And then start playing Stellar Blade on Sundays. Stellar Sundays. I really like the sound of that. Revan 1972 says, hey, Superantonio, hope all is well. All is very well, Revan. Thanks for being here. We're just kind of hanging out in the Stag airship, trying to figure out how to get down, how to negotiate our ways through this maze. And we got a lot of bad guys we need to take out. Mama One and Papa One are also here. And Mama One says, hey, family. And Papa One says, hey, gang. Greetings, Mama One and Papa One. They're deploying Marines in Los Angeles, Papa One. We'll talk about that a little later. But I thought of you, Camp Pendleton. Hoorah. We'll talk about that because I have thoughts that I wanted to talk about. But anyways, yeah, so I think Stellar Sundays, I love the sound of that. I love the alliteration. It's a powerful new PS5 game. It looks great. We've never really played a pure classic science fiction game with, spaceship and alien worlds on this channel. It's always been Earth-based. Everything we've always done is Earth-based. So Let's try that. Let's try sci-fi. But I'm pleasantly surprised at how well Bruce is doing. So I think Saturdays will alternate between Bruce and Joel, and then we will do Stellar Sundays. Mama One says, are we not going to finish Batman? We are absolutely going to finish Batman because I want to unlock all the side missions. You can play as Catwoman and Batgirl. I want to get the Batman 66 skin. The Batman, the original Batmobile. Yeah, so we are absolutely finishing Batman. I love Batman. We're just going to move him to Saturdays, I think. Along with Joel. So we'll just go back and forth. Anyways, I saw this, I guess, it was on Twitter, it was on X-Twitter, just this video of the LA protests that kind of sums it up for me this morning. So it was like this burning car in the middle of an intersection, and it looked like an EV. It looked like an electronic car, okay? So a car that libs love, zero carbon footprint, one of them zero carbon footprint cars, except it's like burning on, it's on fire with this thick black smoke because it's, lithium batteries. And so, it's on fire, and then there's this guy on a motorcycle, and there's protesters all around just, going, woohoo, I hate America. And there's this protester on a motorcycle just, doing donuts around it, okay? And they're filming him, of course, because they film everything. And he has a giant Mexican flag on the back of his, so this Mexican, on his back of his motorcycle. So this Mexican flag is like blowing in the wind, billowing. It is, honestly, it's a very cinematic shot. He's just like circling around with this flag and is Viva Mexico. Okay, now here's my problem. Here's the conundrum I have personally with these protesters, because there are a lot of them are waving the Mexican flag. We're sending a lot of these guys back to Mexico. I know also Honduras and Guatemala and Venezuela, etc. But why are you complaining if they're going back to a country whose flag that you're waving patriotically? Why? I don't understand. What's that about? But, it's better than waving a Palestinian flag. That really angers me. At least this one is kind of culturally relevant. Also, I learned today that Los Angeles is 48% Latino. I did not know that. And then whites are like 30%, and then Asians are like 11. Papa One says, is Last of Us not doing good or something? It's not doing as well as Batman Arkham Knight. It is the weakest live stream that we do, Papa One, regrettably. Mr. Maddie says, hi. Says, wow, I got here early. Welcome, Mr. Maddie. Revan says, I hope you play Asylum in City 2. I'm really enjoying this playthrough. And Bruce, I love Batman. I am unashamed. I unequivocally love this game and Bruce and the Batman universe. Batzaro is here. Greetings, Batzaro. And Papa One says, amen, Super Antonio. They will wave the flag and talk about how good their country is. And yes, they will also do anything to not go back to said country. Yeah, what's that about? Super irritating. They want it both ways. And Papa One says, hey, Batzaro. And Mama One also says, hi, Batzaro. So yeah, they're deploying Marines and the National Guards, and they're upset about that. I've been watching, just live streams. There's a D-Day Cobra. I don't know if you know him. I think he's from Florida, I think, or back, or the South. But he was doing a live stream all day about and talking about it. But so I just had that on in the background as I was working. And anyways, what was I going to say? It's like it's a lib city. It's a Democrat-run city. So even if you arrest any of these people, the judges will just like, turn them loose immediately, cut and run. It's, shoplifting is free over there. But, it's very emotionally satisfying to see some soft lib all in black, face down on the pavement with a bunch of law enforcement standing over him. It's like, even though he's going to be released in 8 hours and he's just going to go back and do it all over again, he's not going to learn anything. So the only thing you can hope is that they put those cuffs on tight. Give him something to complain about. But, that's the world we live in now, I guess. It's mostly peaceful. It is, it's mostly peaceful. They're out there. They're only firebombing some of the cars. They're only throwing rocks at law enforcement vehicles. They're only spray painting and graffitiing basically anything they come across, like locusts. They're only setting small fires, even though, California or Los Angeles had the worst wildfire in the history of California. I guess it is upsetting me a little more than I want to. Yeah, and it's upsetting Sadie. She even moved behind under the desk. She doesn't like it when I get political. She knows it's not good for the channel. I apologize, algorithm. I can't say. What can I say that the algorithm would like? Happy Pride Month. These guys are scary. These sword guys, these giant sword guys that are bigger than Bruce. They're relatively easy to deal with. But yeah, they're scary. Papa One says, I came back from Vietnam. I remember they were trying to overturn the ambulance that I was in. I was in critical condition. I still get nightmares from them trying to storm the ambulance. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Papa One. And I'm sorry that we have to relive it, that we learned nothing from those lessons, and we're doing it all over again now. Got my green tea. Yeah, see, he took us down. That sword guy. That big sword guy. They're called brutes. The ones that are bigger than Bruce. I assume they're genetically modified at some point, And they're relatively easy to defeat if you can like dodge these sword things. Problem is Bruce doesn't have any like distance weapons, except for the batarangs. So you just have to stun him and then punch him a bunch of times and he'll go down. Batzaro, you know this game. Environmental takedowns. I really, it's like, I want to do that. Those look so cool, so cinematic, but I haven't had the opportunity, or I haven't noticed the objects that we can use. There's one where you can like smash somebody's head into like a, some kind of fuse box or power or electrical outlet, and that looks awesome. So yeah, we need to do some environmental takedowns. Batzaro says, if I remember, they have Venom's Bane venom, not the symbiotes. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, they're Bane related. Papa One says, I wish people would learn from history, as if you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. We are doomed to repeat it, as we are doing right now. I pray these newer veterans are never treated like Vietnam vets were. Yeah, that's I don't think they are, Papa One. That's the good that came from your suffering. Is that innate respect? It's like the protesters are able to separate the politics from the from the soldiers. So they will, they'll protest the politicians, but they won't take it out on the, on the armed forces. They understand that but they're doing it with Elon and the Teslas. So there's a bunch of environmental takedown opportunities here, but Bruce is just too busy dealing with all these people who are angry at him for some reason. See, that guy whacked us while we were dealing with that venom brute. And this one just wants a hug. Anyways, we're on an airship. We're on a Zeppelin right now. How cool is that? So yeah, it's been a very eventful day. But it's like summer months, there are always protests during summer months. You can look it up. Once it gets hot, everyone gets angry. There's it's famous. I mean, they talk about the summer of love, but the Paris riots of '68, which these are very similar to, I believe. It's like, even though Paris is having like amazingly scary riots right now, but those were in the summer months. But it's like, I'm sure statistically they figured out that like there's going to be political unrest when the weather gets hot. Okay, we just have to deal with this last guy who just threw one of his compadres at us. You can't pick up a soldier and throw it at Batman. He didn't like that guy. He picked up Private Pyle. That's a Full Metal Jacket reference.
I'm sure all of these men are incapacitated. Thank you.
Because Papa One has me thinking about Vietnam. This is Simon Stagg. He is the tech CEO. I'm sure Bruce knows him. He's been doing weird experiments on humans, and he has been working with Scarecrow, but he claims that Scarecrow has subverted his technology. And then I realized, and this is genius on Rocksteady's part, you don't get hints, like you don't get like dialogue boxes saying, look for the thing that you need to make the thing so you can do the thing. But Joker will tell you. Like, if you're lost, you just have to look for Joker, and he will be standing where you need to go. And the Joker will like tell you, like, what you need to do next, or what we should try next. Maybe we should try using the Batmobile. That's not a good Joker voice, I apologize. Mark Hamill's the Joker here. And he is a great Joker. Also a massive lib. I'm sure he's very much in support of the political insurrection that's happening in his city, in his hometown right now. Even though it's not an insurrection, it's mostly peaceful. Papa One says, are we back? Our internet cut out for a second. I'm sorry to hear that, Papa One. You seem to be back. Mama One says, I think we are. I hope you are, Mama One. Because I missed you and Sadie missed you. Betzaro says, they made Arkham Knight very detective-based compared to the other ones. Joker in this one reminds me of the paperclip on old Windows. Yeah, you're right. Do you need assistance? And I thought he was just like a voice in Batman's head and, the fear toxin. But no, he serves a purpose in-game, which I think is genius on Rocksteady's part. But yeah, I was talking about that in like earlier live streams of Batman Arkham Knight, that you can't just jump in there and start punching bad guys. You have to think tactically. You have to be strategic. You have to you are the world's greatest detective. You have to think like Batman. Because I I just like to jump in there, like Arthur, and shoot everybody. But you can't do that. Batman has a code. I have a code. Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman, and he was from the Batman animated series, which I loved. I mean, I don't have it on Blu-ray or DVD, but I remember watching that. It was a beautifully composed and cartoon. It was kind of like an Art Deco Gotham Batman, and I believe that's where Harley Quinn comes from. Is Batman is the animated series? That's what she was created for that, and now she's like one of the most popular characters in the game, or in the franchise, let's say. Papa One says, what drives me nuts is when they stormed the Capitol, which is the People's Building, in an insurrection. Is an insurrection. The cops opened the doors for him. They let him in. It wasn't a storm. It was more of a tourism. But burning down a city is a peaceful expression of opinion. I agree. It's mostly peaceful. That's what's happening in LA. Isaac says, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are the two greatest of all times in the Batman verse. I would have to add Adam West and Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale to that list. Isaac, thanks for being here. I love Christopher Nolan's Batman, but I love the goofiness and the lightheartedness of Batman 66. It's like I used to watch Gotham with my nephew, and he also loved the Christopher Nolan Batman. And I showed him Batman 66, and he just laughed. He laughed and laughed and laughed and couldn't understand it. I was saying, what's so funny? This is Batman. And he, don't you like the theme song? And he just couldn't stop laughing. And he was like, why is he so fat? And it's one of my happiest of his childhood memories. Yeah. It makes me laugh every time. Because I really didn't have a good answer to that. It's like, he's Batman.
Everything's fine here. Must be a system glitch.
Batzaro says they caught lightning in a bottle with Batman the animated series, and yep, she did for Harley Quinn. Isaac says Batman the animated series was so mature for kids, too. Like it tackled adult themes. I need to see it all the way through. I haven't, but the ones I have watched, I've just loved the look of it. I love the Batmobile. I love that Art Deco Gotham. I love the the clothing and the style of it. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Isaac said Harley Quinn did, and am I the only one who did not like Ben Affleck's interpretation of Batman, or rather Zack Snyder's? I didn't like it. I mean, Batfleck. You're not the only one. And Batzaro says, I had a VHS with a bunch of 66 Batman episodes when I was little. I watched it so much the tape inside broke. It's now my cheer me up show. Yeah, it's funny and it's well written, and it's just so goofy. It's like, yeah, I enjoy it. When I do watch it, it's got and that theme song is so iconic. And the opening animations for which is it's barely an animation in Batman 66. It's more of a slideshow, but But I love bad puns and quips, and you get so many of them in Batman 66. Yeah, I'm gonna get the skin. We're gonna be playing as Batman 66. Except with all of the all of the Batman Arkham Knight skills and upgrades. That's going to be funny to see. That he's going to be able to take all these hits. He's got his tri-weave Kevlar armor that looks like Lycra. Cloudy is here. Cloudy says, howdy, y'all. Greetings, Cloudy. And Batzaro says, I mean shark repellent. Bat shark repellent. He had a bat version of everything that... Isaac says, yes, exactly. I love Batman The Dark Knight Returns. But I just felt when you're trying to introduce a new DC universe, you don't start with a 45-year-old grizzled Batman who kills. I agree. Batman has a code. And I was pleasantly surprised at how well Twilight Batman did, even though I didn't necessarily like that Catwoman. Andrew, what's his name? I can't remember. But yeah, he wasn't Twilighty at all. And I like that interpretation of the Riddler. But, my favorite Catwoman, of course, it's probably got to be,
this is no good. He isn't touching anything.
What's her name? I'm thinking Michelle Pfeiffer, but Michelle Pfeiffer is my favorite. Catwoman. Actress. Anne Hathaway. Yeah, I liked Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. And then Michelle Pfeiffer, of course. And then, like the Batman 66 Catwomen. They had Eartha Kitt, Black Lady in the 60s. That's like way more, I think she was a perfect. They would always like, she'd always like roller R's. Yeah, and then who was the other Catwoman from Batman 66? Catwoman, Batman 66. Selena Kyle. In some versions she's a Ligabita. Julie Newmar, yeah, and Eartha Kitt in Batman 66. Yeah. She's and I really don't have a problem with that. Whatever, dudes. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. She's very flirty with Bruce in this Arkham Knight. I mean, I'm very excited. It's like I will be very happy to introduce Catwoman to you, which will not happen in this episode, but it will happen in the next one. Isaac says Robert Pattinson. Yeah, I was very impressed with his portrayal of Batman, but it's not my Batman. I like Christian Bale. I'm happy with Christian Bale, with his interpretation. And Christopher Nolan's. I think they did a perfect trilogy for Batman.
I should find more prints to reconstruct a full set.
And Lucius Fox has always been black, but now also Commissioner Gordon is also black. Because of course he is. Eartha Kitt, Batzaro says, yes, you're right, was the Black 66 Catwoman. I met her at a con when I was in high school. She's super sweet and kissed me on the cheek. Oh, wow, that's a happy memory, Batzaro. And Cloudy says, Robert Pattinson is my favorite Batman at the moment. His Batman feels more real from all the other movies. Yeah, they made it. I would agree with you that it's more realistic. That interpretation of Batman. But yeah, there's a balance. You don't need it as goofy as Batman 66. You don't need it as flamboyantly gothic as, like, say, Tim Burton's Batman, which I really enjoy also. I think a good balance was Gotham, the TV show, which really wasn't about Batman. It was more about Alfred and the rise of Oswald Cobblepot. So yeah, it was more about Gotham, but yeah, they did a great job with the TV series. Batzaro says, my only problem with The Batman was it felt like two movies put together. I've only seen it once, I'm afraid, Batzaro, so I do not recall. And Batzara says, I'm rewatching Gotham currently. I enjoy Gotham. I like it a lot. I have a problem with Fish Mooney these days, just because, because that whole Will Smith incident just kind of ruined Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith for me. The Smiths forever. So they kind of annoy me, but I think Gotham does a great job of portraying the universe, the Batman universe, and also I think it's about the rise of Oswald Cobblepot. Mom once says, I wanted to ask Super Antonio, have you seen that Hitman 3 added a DLC where the target is the bad guy from James Bond Casino Royale? I did not, Mama One. Le Chiffre, Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen is one of my favorite actors. He played Hannibal in the TV show. Again, another show I like, and another reason why I'm wearing suits. Cloudy says, I need to watch that Penguin show. I keep hearing good things about it. I do too, Cloudy. I just don't have HBO and don't really want to get it at this point. But you're right. I've heard many good things about it. But, he's a quality actor. Colin Firth. Or not Colin Firth. It's not Colin Firth. It's not... Okay. Penguin HBO. They say it's a mini-series. Colin Farrell. He's Irish. I wonder if Callum knows him. Callum probably thinks he's old. Papa One says, did you check out Landman on Paramount Plus, Super Antonio? I don't have Paramount Plus, but I watched some shorts on YouTube, and it looked very interesting. But I do like Billy Bob Thornton, anything that he's been in. I've always been pleased or impressed. Bat Zaro says, I can't stand Fish in Gotham. She was made up for the show because she's friends with the creator. Her acting in it is atrocious. There's no need to over-enunciate every single word. And Papa One says, it's on Showtime normally, I think. I assumed that she was like a gender-swapped character. Fish is an odd name for a girl. It seems a little... You would think that's a little naughty and degrading, but apparently it was okay. I got past the censors. But yeah, she... And then, she comes back with one eye and everything, and, it's like... Yeah, I didn't really... accept how... She was this big criminal mastermind and everyone respected her. But, it's Batman, whatever. That's just the world we live in. Speaking of world we live in, I saw the trailer for Ballerina, a John Wick universe. She's a John Wick assassin, and I think Keanu is in it a little bit. But, and here's, and he does the John Wick flick, where he releases a clip, and he flips it out, the John Wick flip, and then he puts another one in, checks it, and then just keeps going. It's really cool. So he does that in the trailer. But here's my problem with 92-pound girls taking on 200-pound stuntmen and somehow not only surviving but triumphing. It's like I'm tired of it. Kill Bill was one of my is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have it on Blu-ray. But that movie is 20 years old, 22 years old. Came out in 2003, maybe even 2000. It's like we've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm just over it. It's not. And Kill Bill was kind of realistic, you know. It's like, I mean, it kind of made sense. She had a samurai sword, and she's fighting Japanese guys, and she's a 5'10" American girl. So, you know, the physics is a little bit more on her side. But yeah, I'm just tired of it. You know, it's like every single movie, the girls are in charge. Same with The Last of Us. That's from. But anyways, you know, like, so I don't know if I'll be seeing Ballerina. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch it when it comes out on streaming and it's free, but I don't know if I want it on my, and I'm glad they're making a John Wick universe, but, and I respect Keanu for stepping down or stepping away, as opposed to Tom Cruise, who just wants to keep going and going and going. But still, you know, it's not a movie for me. I'm not the audience they are looking for. Batzaro says, Landman is so good, Papa One. I got my dad more into it than I am, LOL. Papa One says, me and Mama One are hooked, Batzaro. We have so many YouTube series and TV shows that we are trying to catch up with. It's hard sometimes with farm work to consistently watch a show. And Batzaro says, Papa, my dad and I and me have a movie or a couple of episodes of a TV show most Fridays. That's a wonderful tradition, Batzaro. We've done it since I was a kid. He kept watching Landman without me. That's a wonderful tradition, Batzaro, and a happy memory. And Papa One, it's good to be busy. That keeps you young. That keeps you active. Cloudy says, did you like Pulp Fiction? I love Pulp Fiction. I got the poster up right there. Everything's backwards right there.
My connection to the
Let's see if we can move it into frame. There. Mrs. Mia Wallace. Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, Quentin Tarantino is one of my favorite directors of all time. Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, Alfred Hitchcock, Guillermo del Toro. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Batzara says, Mama, my dad and I agree. He reminds me of my grandpa. Oh, Mama One says, Billy Bob Thornton in Landman reminds me of my father-in-law so much. He dressed almost exactly the same, except he preferred a black felt hat as it didn't get as dirty. His attitude was spot on as well. Papa One says, we usually spend our night times binging TV shows. We finished Landman Season 1 in 3 days. And we are watching several YouTube series. But Zaro says he always wore a white hat because black hats are too hot. And Betzaro says Mel Brooks is my favorite director. He made some great movies. I agree.
Batman won't be able to stop us. Oh!
Okay, we got it. This guy has he's pretty much carrying one of those mini guns that you see on Apache attack helicopters. And he's annoying too. Because you have to get in close, and he's just going to clout you with those things. He'll just clock you with that thing, and it hurts.
It'll attract a lot of attention when I take out the minigun.
And Bruce says specifically, take him out last, and we're not going to listen to what Bruce says. Spoiler alert. Mama One says, Batzaro, my father-in-law, always made sure that everyone wore black hats, as when you work around horses, your hat gets dirty. He wore a Stetson Gambler that Papa One wears now. It's got a bullet hole in it from where he was bored and drunk, so the guys took turns throwing hats up in the air and shooting them. And Batzaro says, I hate this fight. It took a couple tries to figure out. Spoiler alert. We're not going to do well on that. See, just like he just smacks him with that. So it's a one-shot K. if you get hit with that, I mean, with if he shoots you with it, the tri-weave Kevlar armor does nothing. But if you get in close, and I think part of the problem is Bruce isn't like upgraded enough to deal with that guy. But we're gonna luck out. Batzara says, Mama One, old guys are so much tougher than us guys today. Well, what's that? Hard times breed soft men, or hard times breed hard men and soft. I don't remember how it goes. I have to look it up. Hard times. Hard times breed strong men. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. And that is where we are right now. Hard times. But it just means the next generation is going to be strong. Papa One says, that hat is probably close to 60 years old, Batzaro. I've cleaned it every so often, but I refuse to have the bullet holes fixed. I also make sure to put mink oil on it every so often. Batzaro says, I wear a dark brown Gus from Lonesome Dove cowboy hat on my buck knife baseball cap. And Papa One continues, it can get wet without being ruined. It's what a lot of people did in the Old West. Put mink oil to protect the hat.
Okay. Look, Scarecrow came to me. He needed my help with the cloudburst.
What does it do?
Simon Stagg. Batman's cowl, I assume, is armored. Because he does a lot of headbutts with it, and he can take hits. And then there's like the ear things also have like some kind of significance. I mean, it's like their antennas, or they're super sensitive, or they enhances hearing or something. But I assume that the whole cowl thing kind of functions like Iron Man's helmet, Iron Man's heads-up display. Batzaro says, my dad has a big 10-inch Stetson I'm not allowed to wear until he dies. It was my grandpa's first wedding anniversary present. And Mama One says, amen, Batzaro. I wish more men were like that today. I'm glad my son was raised around cowboys. And Batzaro says, mink oil is essential. Now we have to figure out how to get out of here. And this took a lot longer than I showed you. We should have just listened to Joker, a.k.a. Mark Hamill, but we didn't. Plus, I have to admit, I was exploring a little. Like, see these frozen guys? What's that about? And this guy here, we didn't knock him out. And we can't loot any of these bodies, but, it's like Batman has a code, and I'm sure we're not allowed to loot anyways, even if we could. But Papa One says, that's a hat you will cherish forever, Batzaro. I wear other hats, but my dad's hat is my favorite hat, which will be passed on to my son. It's a tradition now. My dad's hat is actually the second. And Batzaro says, oh man, Super Antonio, this took me forever too. Yes, it did. Spoiler alert, you got two scarecrows here, and whoever you pick is going to be the wrong one. Also, it's not really a spoiler alert, but we're going to be injected with more fear toxin, and it's going to have an effect on us. Also, note, okay, when you're infected by the fear toxin, your skin turns a different shade. That's going to... This is a clue as to what's going to happen next. You know, you get all, like, blotchy and zombified under the fear toxin's influence. Papa One continues, my dad's hat is actually the second Stetson gambler hat he owned. He gave me his first one when I was about 10. Once I broke a very tough Mustang all by myself. My dad told me I was a real cowboy now, and then he took his hat. Then he put his hat on my head. Another very happy memory. Bazzaro says, I'll only wear it on special occasions. It'll go on my collection across the top of my hat wall, as my son calls it. So you look at Bruce's face, okay? That's how you can tell if somebody is infected by the fear toxin.
I can't believe how strong it is.
So, of course, none of this is happening. This is all in Bruce's head, but we still have to play through it. And we get points. We get XP. Pop One says, he put it on my head saying all cowboys need a hat. He went and bought a brand new Stetson Gambler for himself. I gave the one he put on my head when I was 10 to my son when he turned 8. We both always had to pad. See, and now watch. Bruce's skin will return to normal. The rims, as the hat was made for a grown man, but my son still has that hat. He wears it when he is home visiting. See, your eyes are bloodshot and your skin's all zombified. I didn't know Batman had green eyes. And now he's back to normal. That's probably one of the reasons why he turns Catwoman's head. He's got pretty green eyes. And you know Catwoman likes pretty things. At least in this version. In this universe of Catwoman.
There's nowhere to run.
Who said anything about
I really like the physique on this Batman, but you know, it's like you have to wonder how much of that is body armor, even though Bruce is pretty well built. But you know, he's got those shoulder pads on his cape. And then also note Arkham Knight, that guy, he also has like little bat ears on. He's got like a paramilitary version of the suit. Okay, let's talk to Alfred. Pizarro says, from the time I was about 12, my big head fit a man-sized hat. I'm a 7 3/8 now. Yeah, I have a big head. I forget. That Panama hat I got had to be extra large. Yeah, it's confusing to me, my head being so big. Because I want to get a black hat. And I want to get, there's a straw, it's an English straw hat. It's called a boater. It's got more of a flat crown and a round, but a smaller brim. But, you know, it's very stylish. It'll look good with a suit. So I want to get that next month when we get Stellar Blade. It's very popular in the 20s. It's the hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime gal. It's that hat. Okay, let's go save Barbara. Batzara says, and I like a tighter hat. Spoiler alert. we're not really going to be able to save Barbara. I'll show you. I got a hat, Bazzaro. Got my Panama hat. See, and I put this on, and the dog gets excited because she thinks we're going out. We're not going out. I'm just showing the hat. We're doing a live stream right now. And this is it's called the Monte Cristo. This is the same hat that Hannibal Lecter wore at the end of The Silence of the Lambs when he's in South America and he's going to invite an old friend for dinner. And I said earlier, the last time I showed this, that I like how it looks in profile. I don't necessarily like how it looks head on, but it serves its purpose and it does look good. And I want to get it in black. There, we're not going out. I just wanted to show him the hat.
We hurried all the way here and Crane's killed her already.
Papa One says, I always wear a hat. Okay, here's Barbara. We got to talk about this. Okay, note. Note her skin tone. Okay.
Here comes the toxin.
And she gets infected by the fear toxin. But, spoiler alert, also she's a redhead. Spoiler alert, her skin doesn't change. Why is that? What's that about? She still has the regular, human skin tone. Mama One says Super Antonio feels like either a 1940s detective or a mobster. And either way, it fits him well. Well, I want to be a good guy. So I'll have to go with a detective. So I'm amazed at how much of this they show. Okay, so Batman Bruce is now super upset because he thinks that because he witnessed a self-cancellation. Okay, spoiler alert. She's not dead. Barbara's not dead. This is all in Batman's head. This is all a fear toxin induced hallucination. Even though Bruce doesn't know this at the time. Also, nobody really dies in the Marvel or DC universe. You could drop her in the Lazarus pit, or, somebody will show up from an alternate universe, a multiverse. No one ever dies. Or she'll come back as an android, which, you would think that Bruce or Lucius would figure out like some kind of robot cyber legs for Barbara / Oracle so she could be Batgirl again. Why didn't they do that? Batzaro says definitely Elliot Ness vibes, Mama One. Yeah, I like that time period. The 1920s and 30s, even though I'm up to the mid-century, 1940s to 60s. Bruce is mad now, but he's going to go see Poison Ivy, and I have some thoughts on Poison Ivy that we're going to talk about. Also, I'm just reminding you, this game came out in 2015, and we will never get female characters like this ever again unless we're lucky. So yeah, Bruce is super mad, so he needs to work out some of this anger he has at the Joker. But I also put this in to show you how good I got at combat. How bad Arthur is now and how good Bruce is. Batzaro, very true. Only Uncle Ben, Jonathan Kent, and Spawn's family stay dead in comics. Yeah, and Bruce's parents. But this is the easiest way to to level up in this game, is just to fight these guys. And it's great practice. See, Bruce picked that guy up and threw him at that other guy. A classic wrestling move. Pow! Okay, Bruce feels a little better now. Let's go see Poison Ivy so she can figure out an antidote to the fear toxin. Sadie likes this part because we're going to go see Poison Ivy. She likes Poison Ivy and Catwoman because she wants, you know, she feels represented. She wants more female characters in video games. She wants more sexy, attractive female characters in video games. Because who wants to play as a potato? Not even other potatoes, I'll tell you, want to play as a potato. They want to play as a French fry. A skinny, attractive French fry. Batzara says, if you're good at this fighting, you'll be good at the Insomniac Spider-Man games if you haven't played them. I have not played them. Okay. Anyone going in green is a Riddler crim. So we have to catch this guy. Papa One says, still trying to get Mama One to let me build up my truck into a Batmobile. You know, Papa, when I saw a Cybertruck with a matte black wrap, and it looked kind of like a Batmobile. It was pretty cool looking.
I'm not such a bad guy. I swear. I don't care.
Toss him in the cell. He still has his duty weapon and his nightstick, but you're in trouble now. Batman has a code. Well, he has a code unless it, like, until it, 23%. We've put away a lot of bad guys. Unless it doesn't really apply to the ladies as much as it does the men. You know, it's like, because he's going to work out a deal with Poison Ivy, and he kind of has a working relationship with Catwoman where he tolerates her crimes because she's basically nonviolent and she's only stealing property, I guess. Kind of like the state of California. I don't want to get political again, and I apologize, algorithm. Batzara says, I wanted to turn my mom's Firebird into a Batmobile, but she wouldn't let me. Yeah, what's that about? Look at all the firemen we've saved that I haven't really shown you. Okay, here's Poison Ivy in 2015. She'll never look like this again. I'm sorry to say. This is what they took away from you, friends.
Why didn't the gas affect you?
Papa One says, my son loves to rebuild classic cars. He then turns around and sells them. I was talking to him about us getting a truck and turning it into a Batmobile-like truck. He's into it, but Mama is not, LOL. Here's the thing about Poison Ivy, okay? She's obviously a dirty, smelly hippie. And most definitely a vegan. But she has red hair and she's not wearing pants. Very distracting. I'm torn. I'm confused. I'm not confused. I'm being sarcastic. Anyways, yeah, it's Poison Ivy's going to help us, and that's about all I have for you tonight. Shout out to the channel members and the mods, Papa One and Mama One, and Callum and Miko and Serena. Thank you, friends. It's great talking to you. Batzara, I was here. I'm glad you were here for a Batman stream. We're going to do it every Sunday, but at some point we'll probably transfer this to Saturday Batman stream And then we'll do Stellar Blade on Sundays. Stellar Sundays. I love the sound of that. But yeah, we're going to finish this game, Mama One, because we're going to play this game a lot, because there's a lot of DLCs and side things that we can do, a lot of Batman skins I want to explore with. Thank you for being here. We shall return on Fridays with Free Roam Fridays. Sadie says like and subscribe. Everyone have a good week. It was great talking to all of you. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, friends. Have a great night. I'll leave the chat open for a little bit if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves.
So, what's the deal here? Reconstructing a match using all these itty-bitty pieces? Oh, and speaking of itty-bitty pieces, what do you think they're going to do to Barbara?
I've been able to reconstruct Stag's middle fingerprint. 3 locations left to scan. I've got an index fingerprint here. 2 spots left to scan. I've completed reconstruction of Stag's thumbprint. 1 site left. I've got the full set. I should be able to access Stag's computer system now.
use a reconstruction of Staggy's handprint to access the computer. Oh, that's genius, Pats, really. Oh, I know. When you're done, let's hack his online dating profile.
I can't remotely disable the turrets on the other airship, but I can control the turrets on this ship. That's the weapons dealt with. Scarecrow's next.
Identification confirmed. Good evening, Mr. Stagg.
Sir, regarding the identity of this so-called Arkham Knight.
What have you found?
Nothing, sir. None of the former Arkham City inmates who remain unaccounted for fit the Knight's profile.
Widen the search. When Joker took over the asylum, dozens of inmates escaped. Focus on young men with military experience.
Downloading the files now, sir.